is true that today, at least in all highly organized, typically modern countries, nearly everybody can read and write. But what of that? To be able to read and write is an advantage, and a considerable one, but it is not a virtue. It is a tool and a weapon, a means to an end, a very useful thing, no doubt, but not an end in itself. The ultimate value of literacy depends upon the end to which it is used. And to what end is it generally used today? It is used for convenience or for entertainment by those who read, for some advertisement or some objectionable propaganda, for money-making or power-grabbing by those who write, sometimes, of course, by both, for acquiring or spreading disinterested knowledge of the few things worth knowing, for finding expression of or giving expression to the few deep feelings that can lift a man to the awareness of things eternal. But not more often so than in the days in which 1 man out of 10,000 could understand the symbolism of the written word. Generally, today, the man or woman whom compulsory education has made literate uses writing to communicate personal matters to absent friends and relatives, to fill forms, one of the international occupations of modern civilized humanity, or to commit to memory little useful but otherwise trifling things, such as someone's address or telephone number, or the date of some appointment with the hairdresser or the dentist, or the list of clean clothes due from the laundry. He or she reads to pass time, because outside the hours of dreary work, mere thinking is no longer intense and interesting enough to serve that purpose. We know that there are also people whose whole lives have been directed to some beautiful destiny by a book, a poem, a mere sentence, read in distant childhood, like Shailunin, who lavishly spent on archaeological excavations the wealth patiently and purposely gathered in 40 years of dreary toil, all for the sake of the impression left upon him as a boy by the immortal story of Troy. But such people have always lived, even before compulsory education came into fashion, and the stories heard and remembered were no less inspiring than stories now read. The real advantage of general literacy, if any, is to be sought elsewhere. It lies not in the better quality either of the exceptional men and women or of the literate millions, but rather in the fact that the latter are rapidly becoming intellectually more lazy, and therefore more credulous than ever, and not less so, more easily deceived, more liable to be led like sheep without even the shadow of a protest, provided the nonsense one wishes them to swallow be presented to them in printed form and made to appear scientific. The higher the general level of literacy, the easier it is for a government in control of the daily press, of the wireless, and of the publishing business, these almost irresistible modern means of action upon the mind, to keep the masses and the intelligentsia under its thumb, without their even suspecting it. Among widely illiterate but more actively thinking people, openly governed in the old autocratic manner, a prophet, direct mouthpiece of the gods, or of genuine collective aspirations, could always hope to rise between secular authority and the people. The priests themselves could never be quite sure of keeping the people in obedience forever. The people could choose to listen to the prophet if they liked, and they did, sometimes. Today, wherever universal literacy is prevalent, inspired exponents of timeless truth, prophets, or even selfless advocates of timely, practical changes have fewer and fewer chances to appear. Sincere thought, really free thought, ready in the name of superhuman authority, or of humble common sense to question the basis of what is officially taught and generally accepted, is less and less likely to thrive. It is, we repeat, by far easier to enslave a literate people than an illiterate one, strange as this may seem at first sight. And the enslavement is more likely to be lasting. The real advantage of universal literacy is to tighten the grip of the governing power upon the foolish and conceited millions. That is probably why it is dinned into our heads from babyhood onward that literacy is such a boon. Capacity to think for one's self is, however, the real boon. And that always was and always will be the privilege of a minority, once recognized as a natural elite and respected. Today, compulsory mass education and increasingly standardized literature for the consumption of conditioned brains, outstanding signs of progress, tend to reduce that minority to the smallest possible proportion, ultimately to suppress it altogether.